Bill is defending today is a testament not only to the training that he has received here in the neuropsychology doctoral program, but also to the tremendous skills and expertise that he has developed in HIV, in treatment adherence, in multivariate statistical analyses, as a result of his decision to shift gears about 4 years ago and come to work with me and Jeff at CHEST. Over the time that we have worked together, Bill has proven himself to be a dedicated scientist, a consummate mentor to the more junior doctoral students and undergraduates in our lab, an amazing problem solver, and a endlessly insightful collaborator. As many of you know, Bill has accepted a postdoc position at NIDA, and so he will be leaving us in about 2 weeks, which is a tremendous loss for us, but we are really excited to witness the next phase of Bill's career. Just a quick sort of logistical explanation of how this goes. Bill will speak for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions from people who are not members of the examining committee. So anyone and everyone is free to question Bill during that open question and answer period, and then we'll ask those of you who are not part of the examination committee to leave, and we'll go into closed session. But if you are a friend of Bill, you might not want to go far, because we'll hopefully get together after that as well. So with that, it's my pleasure to present you Bill.
Hello, everybody. I want to start, I promise I won't make this too long of a little Oscar speech, but I want to thank you guys first because if I do this at the end, I'll get all choked up and no one wants to see that, but maybe do a few brief comments and then we'll move on. I first want to thank the program here. I know I've been around a little bit longer than you're kind of supposed to, but I've learned so much from you here at Queens College. I want to thank NIDA for funding this project, and also my project officer, Woody Yulin, for sort of fighting to get me that funding. I want to thank my committee, Sarit, Jeff, Nancy, Laura, and Sandy, for sort of shepherding me through this project. Dr. Comer, I want to thank you for being sort of my first mentor, giving me my start in research, and I want to, as I sort of move on in my career, I've become sort of really aware of how generous you were with someone who was so inexperienced when he had to start. Laura, I want to thank you for stepping on this committee without me or my research. I think it's actually really important to get sort of the perspective of someone who's not sort of biased by all of the experiences that someone might have had with me. Nancy, I want to thank you for bringing your expertise in dementia and knowing that you were sort of there at the beginning of sort of the HIV epidemic and how neuropsychology played a part of that. You kept us firmly entrenched in this sort of program here at Queens College. I don't think this dissertation would be appropriate for Queens College or for you. Jeff, I want to thank you for bringing your expertise in what it's taught me in HIV and in men's sexual health. And not only that, what you taught me, but that expertise lent some credence to the work that I'm doing. And without that, none of this would have been funded, and this dissertation would be a very, very different thing. Dr. Golub, I can't calculate how much you have taught me about research in the wider world, the wider scientific world in general. When I'm needed to be treated like a colleague, you've treated me like a colleague. When I'm needed to be treated like a student, you've treated me like a student. I hope that in the future, the vast majority of our interactions will be more like the former than the latter. But just know that whenever I think to myself I need a teacher, you're going to be the first person I think of. I want to thank my mom and my dad and my brother. They're here today. It's fantastic because at the worst of times, they got me through. They kept me here in the program, and it's so great to see you here. What I like to think of as the best of times. And lastly, I want to thank my wife, Rachel Lieberman, not only for the love and support that she's provided through the long hours I spent working on this project, but also all the countless hours editing this document. She's been my editor-in-chief, and I'm sure Sari knows when what manuscripts I've been sending her were you had the time to edit them and you didn't. So thank you. Let me pull up my notes. So this is a comparative analysis of representations for executive function in the context of HIV medication adherence and methamphetamine use. So the question that's sort of at the heart of this dissertation is what is executive function? And now I'm going to start my dissertation by completely skirting this issue because the answer is complicated. What I can't tell you about right off the bat is sort of what it's used for. So executive function is oftentimes thought of sort of this higher level system coordinating lower level systems. And it's necessary for any task that requires goal-directed behavior. So anytime you have to plan, initiate, sequence, modify, or maintain behavior in the face of multiple, more salient or novel cues, it sort of requires executive function. One of the things that executive function is necessary for, a goal-directed behavior, is medication adherence for those who have HIV. And when you put these sort of three things together, when you look at executive function in the context of medication adherence and HIV, sort of an interesting picture emerges. Executive function is associated with missing medication. Missing medication is associated with advanced disease progression. And disease progression is associated with more executive function impairment. So what you have here is this sort of snowball effect of executive function leading to missed medication, leading to more disease progression, leading to more executive function impairment. This sort of snowball effect building and building and building. Leading to more disease progression. When you add in substance use, it sort of complicates these issues. Methamphetamine use complicates them more so than other substances of abuse because it can interact sort of with this snowball effect, both directly and indirectly. Methamphetamine use is directly associated with HIV disease progression. It does this through a variety of mechanisms, including increasing the rate at which HIV replicates sort of by itself. Methamphetamine use is also a barrier to adherence, and it's a sort of a bigger barrier to adherence than other substances of abuse. And lastly, there is a bidirectional relationship between methamphetamine use and executive functioning impairment. So sort of at all three levels of this snowball effect, methamphetamine use is exacerbating the problem of disease progression. But if we want to target executive function, if we want to look at executive function and try to do something about that, we have this problem. And that's this question I brought up earlier, and that is, what is executive function? So here it is. It's this question that's at the heart of my dissertation, and the answer I'm going to have for you is probably not satisfying. It's, I don't know. Probably not the best thing to say at the center of your